Okay. Shabbat Shalom. To everyone in here, to all you out there, to everyone around the world, as we come together as a Jewish community and to celebrate in different kinds of presence. We are in the presence of the Sabbath, the greatest of all days. And so we're going to celebrate this day like there is no tomorrow. All right, like Sunday is not, like there'll be no religious school on Sunday and everyone will be just joyously going out to breakfast. There's no religious school on Sunday, so you can go out to breakfast. I have taken on a project that has lapsed over the time of COVID, and that is that most congregations in the world do not have their own song. Congregation Kol Ami has 2 songs. I bet you didn't know that. So in religious school, we have a song we haven't been able to use now for about 3 years almost. We All Live in a Yellow Synagogue. All right, and that's always been a big hit. But we also have a song that was composed specifically for our Friday night worship, and that is the song Pray With Me, composed by Susan Colin and Robin Dennis. Robin wrote the lyrics and Susan composed the music. And I am determined that we're going to get this back into circulation. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have the words with you. And we're going to be using this as often as Tanya is here in order to cultivate this song in our community. So Pray With Me is how we're going to start this service.
Pray with me, join in my song. Pray with me, don't leave me alone. As our prayers intertwine, the hues will combine, a garment divine. A thread in a talus, a grape in the wine, sweet and refreshing, yet alone on the vine. When I'm alone, my prayer is sincere, floating on high, the hue of the sky. Pray with me, join in my song. Pray with me, don't leave me alone. As our prayers intertwine, the hues will combine, a garment divine. On family and strangers, my worship relies. 10 people together, our prayers multiply. Through simchas and blessings, kaddish and bris, tears of our sorrows, hopes of tomorrow. In the voice of my people, our stories will tell. In the warmth of the minyan, God's holiness dwells. Pray with me, join in my song. Pray with me, don't leave me alone. As our prayers intertwine, the hues will combine, a garment divine.
And so it is, and I can tell by the way I laid out these lyrics, I blew it a little bit. I got a little section wrong. I'll fix that, and we'll continue. But right now, we continue with exactly the theme of the community, the Kol Ami, voice of my people. I want to hear from you, the community, what good and blessing has been happening to you in the past week. This is the Great Jewish Project, to be able to move through the day and recognize with gratitude all the things that happen to us. It doesn't have to be big, can be small. All I'm asking you to think of is one thing in the past week that you're grateful for, something good that happened to you. So I'm going to start by acknowledging that we have a number of birthdays this past week. We want to celebrate the birthdays of Maxine Collins, Avery Dawsey, Jaden Goldberg, Elizabeth Kennedy, Aiden Lapidus, Rowan Milner, Lonnie Dietz, Steve Ducar, Gary Jacobs, Mitch Kruger, James Ledden, and Wendy Starr. Who else has a good and blessing to report? Anything at all? So we'll start with Richard.
In the world of small things.
Small things.
In as much as we are in winter, I have a tendency to put out critter front and bird seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the delight of having 3 different kinds of woodpeckers.
Awesome. That is wonderful. 3 different species.
Yeah.
Can you name them?
Ladderback,
Okay. Does one of them have a red head?
yeah.
Okay, see, that's the one we have in our neighborhood. Very awesome, awesome. See, that's a good and blessing. We've got our owls.
Yes.
You've got your woodpeckers, right? And how about for you, Helena?
We celebrated our granddaughter's 50th birthday.
That's right.
And her driver's ed program.
Oh.
She's now driving.
Okay, and she's in the training phase, or she's gotten her?
Training.
She's in the training phase. All right. No moment for fear to ripple through the congregation yet. She is still supervised. All right. Who else has a good and blessing? Samson.
I got a new job.
Mazel tov. And tell us about this job.
I'm going to be a 911 dispatcher.
Wow.
Outstanding. You have a fantastic voice to be a 911 dispatcher. That's absolutely great. I'm so glad. I know you've been hoping for this job, and I'm really excited.
Long application process.
Yeah, I understand. It's a government job. So, but we're all thrilled for you. That is so great. And did you have something that you wanted to share?
Yeah, this past Tuesday, I celebrated my siblings' birthday. They were both born on the same day, February 15th, but
All right.
like 3 years apart.
Well, no, but that's nice. There's a certain economy to that, and that's very helpful for a family. That's wonderful. Yes, Sarah.
I'm now 30 days into my book being out in the world.
Yes.
Published and sold 100 copies. So I think that's
Okay.
pretty decent.
Right.
I don't know
You-
what I'm comparing it to, but
Believe me, as someone who wrote on very recondite subjects and published a book, it creeps up over the years. It moves very slowly, but it all adds up cumulatively in time. So that's wonderful. Mazel tov. Who else has something to share? Anybody? Yes, Becky.
Ben finally got his learner's permit this week, so he got behind the wheel of the car last night.
Outstanding. I saw the photograph on Facebook. So are you two going to be coordinating times on the street so that you're staggered?
I won't be anywhere near where my driver's gonna be.
You,
I'll be on the other side of town.
like my wife, that was entirely my responsibility. Did someone else have something? You want to add something?
I don't know if my sister will be happy about me telling everyone this, but my sister finally got a boyfriend.
All right. And this is a good and blessing for you for what reason?
Because I'm proud of her.
Oh, all right. That was beautiful.
Also, we're getting
We love that. That's fantastic. We're very happy for her and we're happy for you. So that's great. That's great. Do you approve of him?
yes, he's really nice.
See, when your family approves, that's everything. All right. We won't tell her that you said so because yeah, she's probably at that stage in life. She really doesn't care what you think. But in any case, as for me, well, I'm still wearing my my turtlenecks. So I'm very happy about that. And my wife insisted that I had to make her pasta fagioli, and it worked out okay. It came out very nicely. So we've got about 3 weeks of it. And, we'll freeze parts and we'll just keep going. So the blessing will just carry on for a long time. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to get this Sabbath started. And it's my delight to invite up Arlene Webman to kindle our lights of Shabbat. We're going to be in our purple Siddur on page 1, lighting of candles.
Just
Yeah,
the prayer.
that's it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights. May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen.
We continue now with the welcoming of Shabbat into our midst with Kabbalat Shabbat, beginning on page 2. I'll begin with Psalm 95 in English. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai and raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Come, let us honor God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is supreme, the sovereign over all beings. We're going to continue now with Psalm 97, Or Zaruach. We're going to be singing it. God's light is sown for the righteous and illumination for the upright of heart. Or Zaruach.
Or Zaruach Latzadik Ulishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach Latzadik Ulishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach Latzadik Ulishrei Lev Simcha. Ulishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach Latzadik Ulishrei Lev Simcha. Ulishrei Lev Simcha. La la la.
We're going to continue with Psalm 29 in English. Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. And we continue with Lecha Dodi on page 7. We welcome the Sabbath into our midst. This week, I think I'm going to call on, Don and Kenny are going to be our ushers for the final stanza to welcome the Sabbath into our midst. For those who are visiting, we'll be rising on our final stanza. So, Lecha Dodi, page 7.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Nei Shabbat nekavela. 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 Shamor v'zachor בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי כמכור חברה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תגלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, לכבוד אדוני הלקק נגלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה בואי הלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקרא כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Arise, arise, and awaken, awaken. Come sing, give forth the song. The glory of God is now revealed to you. So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to those who are faithful, a treasured people. Come, O Shabbat, come, O bride. Psalm 92, a song for Shabbat. It is good to give thanks to Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak and your faithfulness each night with a harp, with voice in lyre in unison. Sadiq katamar yifrak v'kerez v'Lebanon yizgeh, and the righteous, they shall bloom like a palm, they shall thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. We continue with Hatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא במהרו אמן.
Whether you are able to rise in body or only able to rise in heart, I ask you, please rise for the barakah.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך את אדוני המבורך, המבורך
We honor God's constancy expressed in the form of nature, Mahariv Aravim, the one who makes the evening fall. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro Mahariv Aravim, b'chokma potech sha'arim, u'bitvuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirotzono. Orei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'hoshech mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tziva'ot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch, aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamahariv arabim. Adonai of hosts is the creator of day and night, causing day and night to alternate. May God govern us always to the end of time. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes this evening fall. Ahavat olam. An ending too is your love for your people, Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days, and then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people of Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated, and Tanya will lead us in the Via Hafta on page 13.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In even the darkest times, the lodestar that guides us as a Jewish people is the memory that we were slaves once in the land of Egypt, and now we are free. And so it is in every service. We recall this, that God is a God of freedom. Emet ve'emunah. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud, raises up the lowly, who frees the captive, and who redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing. Micha Mocha.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Malchutecha uvanecha bokei hayam livnei Moshe, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele.
And even as we think of the scope of our history and our tradition, we take time out for this evening, the end of the day, the end of our efforts, and a time of rest to begin Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant that this night we lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O Sovereign, to a life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Which brings us now to the Amidah or Tefillah prayer. I ask you to, once again, if able, please rise. Page 17.
Adonai shefatai tiftachu ki ani tefilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagdol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, El Chassidim Tovim, Ve'onei Hakol, Elohei Ha'aseh Elohimot, U'mevi Gula Lifnei Bneihem, L'man Shemot Ve'amara, Melech Hosea Moshiach Mahin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Yisrael Sarah, Atah Gibor L'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah B'Moshiach, Mechayei Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol B'Rachim Ramim. Zoheinu Klim Erofei Olim, Uvatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Mishenei Avad, Mizramot Avai V'Rot,
Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei ha'ol. Atah kadosh kadosh, u'kadoshim l'kol yom yachal u'chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated, everyone. And we're going to honor the Shabbat on page 21 with the song midway through the page, Yismechu v'malachutacha, which sounds like a mouthful, but it's not really. And what we're looking for is for your response. You'll get the hang of it as soon as it happens. Yismechu v'malachutacha.
I was actually going to do Vishamru.
Oh, Vishamru. Switch that around. Ignore the rabbi. What does he know? It's Vishamru at the top of the page, the classic. All right.
Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Our next prayer, Reitzei, was originally in the traditional Siddur, a prayer for the return of the ancient temple. Now we use it as a prayer of acceptance, asking God to accept our prayers, but it also remains a prayer of restoration. Our hope is that as we proceed through the Sabbath, we begin to feel a sense of being restored to wholeness of body and spirit, and that we take a little step closer to a full restoration in our lives. Reitzei. Adonai, our God, show favor to your people Israel, and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people always be acceptable to you. For you alone do we hold in reverence. And we offer our thanks, Modim. We give thanks to you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation for all generations. We thank you and recite your praises. Let us, all the living, affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha l'cha ne'eh lahodot. And we come finally to the prayer, Shalom Rav. Of course, we see the clouds of war looming over Eastern Europe. It's on our minds. It keeps our thoughts occupied. So more than ever now, let us pray for abundant peace for ourselves and the world. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lech השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון, לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ויראו ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ויראו ויאמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
So, a rabbi, I pulled this joke off the internet, so it says a Jewish rabbi, but it seems a little redundant, so I'm just gonna, a rabbi and a Catholic priest met at the town's annual 4th of July picnic. They were old friends, so they began their usual banter. "This baked ham," said the priest, "is really delicious. You really ought to try it. I know it's against your religion, but I can't understand why such a wonderful food should be forbidden. You don't know what you're missing, and you haven't lived until you've tried my congregant Mrs. Hall's prize Virginia baked ham. Tell me, Rabbi, when are you going to be willing to try it?" And the rabbi smiled at the priest and said, "At your wedding." So every tradition has its rules. All right, but before we get to that, I want to talk about our parsha, our Torah portion for this week. Our Torah portion is called Ki Tisa. And in a whole book of the Torah that has lots and lots of climaxes and denouements and dramatic moments, this is yet another one. There's a lot going on in this Torah portion, but I want to focus on the one you're probably more or less familiar with. It goes like this. Moses receives the tablets of the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai, Aseret Dibrot. Not only does he receive the tablets, but they are written by the very finger of God. Blazing into the stone, supposedly, according to our tradition, a giant placard of emerald sliced into two, and the finger of God inscribes each and every letter of the words of the Ten Commandments so that they are sublime and supernal. They glow, they float. Even though the stone is enormously heavy, he can pick it up and carry it. And he takes it down to our people to present these brilliant, hierophanous, God-touched objects to the people, only to discover, lo and behold, that the people in his absence have become overwhelmed, frightened. They feel that God is no longer present for them, so they have built for themselves a golden calf. And in his horror, Moses smashes these priceless, precious, glorious tablets. And then God summons him back up the mountain a second time, and he must make a second set of tablets. He, now Moses, must chisel them out himself. And then with the second intact, he goes back down so the people will continue their journey. Now, why does Moses smash these tablets? What's the point? There are many different interpretations of this. There's a way that we interpret where we talk about what was Moses's motivation. But I'd like to take a step back and ask the question, what is the author's motivation? Why does the author of Exodus feel the need to have Moses smash these two tablets? I think one of the more subtle messages embedded here is about the potency of God's words. God's words versus our words, the distinction between most holy revelations and revelations that are in our hands. God's words, they're sublime, inalterable, potent beyond description. Our words, powerful too in some ways, but contingent, ambiguous, subject to revision, requiring interpretation, even correction. I don't know if most of you have been paying a great deal of attention to the religious news this past week, but for those of us that do, there has been one hot headline. It seems for years, a Roman Catholic priest in Phoenix, Arizona, has been performing baptisms, perhaps several thousand baptisms, each one concluded with these words: "We baptize you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit." Now, this priest apparently did something not only inexcusable, but unforgivable. He said, "We," not I. And Catholic doctrine requires him to say, "I." And as a result of this, he has been required to resign, and everything that he has done over the decades has been thrown into question, not just the baptisms. Apparently, none of these children were in fact baptized for the lack of an eye. But not only that, but there are questions about the marriages he performed and the other duties as a Catholic priest that he has done. That shift from the first person to the first person plural has invalidated everything. And as a result, his community is shaken. It gets worse. No matter what we look at, anything that he has been involved in his role as a priest now may have to be redone. To say "we," apparently, in this context is presumptuous. But it's not we who baptize the children, but rather it is the priest, I, as the conduit for God, as in I baptize you in the name of the Father. It's not even the priest per se, it's like God speaking through him. In other words, there is no we, and the I is not the I of the priest. The priest is merely a vessel. He is speaking in the name of the Trinity. And apparently this matters a lot. And if one is, and this is the term for it, a linguistic formalist, or you believe in the constructive nature of speaking, if you take the formalist perspective, liturgical words have a performative value. What does that mean? It means that they do not report a fact, they create a fact. They shape reality. What you say makes things come into existence. We have a phrase that we Jews have given to the world that says that. In effect, it's a rather mangled Aramaic phrase, and it goes like this: abracadabra. And if you break it down into the original Aramaic, it means, as I speak, I create. That's the whole nature of this debate, of this crisis, is that the belief that our words actually bring real things into being. Now, this strikes us as a little overwrought, but in truth, the Catholics did in fact get this from us. Jews have always regarded words as the most powerful things in the universe. God creates the entire universe through language. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And this phrase, abracadabra, creates the sense that language builds worlds. When we use language imprecisely or even violently, it can apparently destroy worlds also. Of course, this is only one way, and a rather pre-modern way, to think about words. Other theories of language exist, especially since the Enlightenment, where we have paid more attention to the innate ambiguity and the uncertainty of the things we say. We also have developed a more skeptical view of cause and effect. Words, we have learned, are kind of weaselly things. And though we still demand precision in certain contexts, like, for example, a written legal statute or a contract, there the old rules prevail. A decision one way or another in the law can still hinge on whether the text has a the or an in it, in the presence or absence of an all-inclusive all. These things can mean millions when it comes to the matter of a contract. But otherwise, we put less store in a promise, an oath, a verbal statement, than perhaps ever before in human history. And yet still, the language we use is particularly important and careful to consider when it comes to particularly liturgy. Now, the Talmudic rabbis felt this very strongly because they used to argue ferociously over the proper wording of Hebrew prayers. And the later Jewish community, the medieval German French scholars known as the Hasidei Ashkenaz, were tormented by the fact that there were so many variations found in Jewish prayers in different Jewish communities that they wrote whole treatises on what should be the precise wording. And they went a long way towards standardizing how we Jews today pray. Later, the Kabbalists believed that our Hebrew prayers were sort of like the combination in a lock, and the lock being a lock on goodly and godly forces above us. You had to get it precisely right to unlock the gate of those divine things. But that's not how we approach most words, even liturgical words today. When Reform Judaism first emerged in Germany in the 19th century, the thing that most infuriated traditional rabbis was our willingness to modify and revise our inherited prayers. We Reformed Jews were willing to constantly play with the liturgy. We changed language all the time, not whimsically, but to reflect historical, sociological, and ethical realities. You might have noticed that every once in a while reading the liturgy, I may add a word or not include a word because one reason or another I wanted a different emphasis. But we reflect these important things we want. At first, reformers changed the words of prayers, exercising references to animal sacrifices, praying to have the temple in Jerusalem restored, or the idea that we are all waiting for a personal Messiah. More recently, we've included into our prayers the names of the matriarchs. We make our prayers more reflective of gender diversity and the idea that God is not necessarily a he, even if that's linguistic convention. Why? Because we are, in fact, addressing each other, our community, every bit as much as we are addressing God. And it's interesting that the Roman Catholic kerfuffle is over the word we versus the use of I. If I were and you were to look through the Siddur together, you'll notice how rarely the first person I ever appears. There's an awful lot of we. When it comes to transformative rituals like Brit Milah, circumcision, or marriage, or B'nai Mitzvah, there's never an I to be seen in the formal liturgy. Because at these events, the key magic of the words is that there are witnesses, that you are present, who testify that we are adding a child or a new adult or a married couple who are now part of the rosters of the Jewish people. They are the new reality, and their reality becomes true because we see it happen. We make a new addition to the Jewish people. We, not I, not even them, but we. And that's where the magic of Jewish words remain. The magic resides in the we. We make community where there was no community before. It is through Jewish liturgy that we take you, a plural you. We don't have a plural you really in English. Y'all. We take y'all and we take you, men, women, children, straight, queer, black, white, people who don't know each other, and through our we, abracadabra, we create the Jewish people, an eternal community, a global servant of God. As Rabbi Jeff Salkin puts it, we affirms the presence of the local version of the ancient tribe that exists all over the world. Some of you who attend a CKA B'nai Mitzvah may notice that I declare at times the mixed multitude of people present. I will say that those who here are not yet members of the tribe, at least for the next 2 hours, I will say, you are honorary members. And so it is with the inclusive we create Jewish community. And if there is a particular magic of Judaism that has largely human implications, it's this. This is something that we can share with the world. If modern Judaism can bring a relevant or new or renewed role in our society, it will be for us to restore the we in the American conversation, to remind us that we are not many different people, but we are intended to be one people. As our coins say, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. That's Hebrew. No, it's not actually, but I don't want to distract you about that. To remind us that we are all wrapped up in this thing, whether it be Judaism or America or the human race together, and that what one person does affects everyone. And what we do in the sight of each other is the most powerful thing of all. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So our officer tonight is our beloved Melissa Trapani, who is our Tikkun Olam, or Social Action Vice President. And we have a number of fabulous things here for her to report. There's a lot of stuff going on. All right, keep it tight, my dear.
Sure. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
The CKA blood drive is coming up. Help us give the gift of life by donating blood at our quarterly blood drive on March 12th from noon to 4. Carter Blood Care asks that you sign up in advance so they manage the process more effectively. There's still time slots available, so please sign up using the link on the website. If you have any questions, please contact Melissa Hart, our blood drive coordinator. Calling all Purim players. Are you still looking for them?
I think I could use one more Purim player.
One more player.
You are that magical one out there somewhere, one of you.
The rabbi has written something that requires a big cast, so we need plenty of volunteers for one. It's always a ton of fun, and there are no expectations of your theatrical abilities. It's just a great way to celebrate the holiday, retell the story of Esther, and bring fun and excitement to the festivities. Rehearsals will be February 19th.
It start tomorrow evening at 5:30.
Okay, and go through the 12th of March with a performance on March 18th. If you'd like to help out, please email Rabbi and let him know you want to join. Spring Camp at Green. Spring has arrived in Bruceville and camp is the place to be. They're looking forward to seeing our 1st through 5th grade campers April 1st through the 3rd and enjoying the cooler temperatures at Spring Camp. Whether you join them in the summer or you're just curious about trying out camp for the first time, Spring Camp is a wonderful opportunity to spend time with friends at GFC. For everyone, come and make new friends, enjoy a Sabbath dinner together, and keep the magic of camp going throughout the year. Civilian response to active shooter events. In light of recent events and as part of our ongoing security committee efforts to ensure that our security is the best it can be, we are working with the Flower Mound Police Department to conduct their civilian response to active shooter events program for us. As noted by Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker during his terrible experience a few weeks ago, preparation and training were key in their escape from the hostage taker. In trying to follow that proven model, we are working with FMPD to ensure everything we have in place is coordinated with them and that we have the training we all need in case we ever face that horrible situation here. To help us manage the headcount, please RSVP using the form on the website. Contact Bob in the office if you have any questions. We hope to see you on March 3rd. Cemetery price increase. Roselawn Memorial Park, where our cemetery garden is located, has announced a significant price increase on the cost of a plot. Consequently, CKA will be raising its prices as well starting on March 1st. If you have been considering buying a plot in the Garden of Generations, now is a great time to reach out to Bob in the office or Samson, the VP of Cemetery. To get all.
And what is the drop dead date for? Sorry.
Really?
Right.
To get all the details and to save a few shekels potentially. The Sisterhood event at Color Me Mine. Please join the Sisterhood at Color Me Mine in Highland Village on Sunday, February 27th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be painting either Seder plates or Elijah cups to prepare for Passover. The cost is between $25 and $45, depending on which you choose. Goblets are $25, while the larger plate is $45. We'll have a private room in the back. We hope you'll join us. Please RSVP with Carly Wisniewski. CKA Shabbat dinner on the first Shabbat of each month. We invite you to join us for Shabbat dinner before services. Each month there will be a kosher style dinner starting at 6:30. Since we had to cancel February's dinner due to weather, we will begin our community Shabbat dinner on March 4th. We hope you can join us for this monthly community event. It's a great opportunity for fun, fellowship, and getting to know your fellow Kol Amites. As always, you can find all the specific details for these announcements and anything else you might need on
the website.
Good job. May the ones who blessed our ancestors also bless Harry Anthony, Joyce Bloom, Natalie Bovino, Sandy Cook, Mark Davis, Michelle Griffith, Jody Hoffman, Sharon Jacobs, Carol Jones, Molly Kalig, Joseph Katz, Deb Kaufman, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Gianna LaMonica, Deb Ledden, Phyllis Lorley, Shirley Lunsford, Liz Naria, Paul Redwood Jr., the Rogers family, Sandy Garber Rubin, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schusler, Dave Seaver, and Happy Waterman. Is there anyone else who'd like to add?
Hortensia Quiroz.
Thank you. Yes. Becky. Okay. Okay, Emma Nakos.
And Robin Dennis.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
And so, in the great Rabbi Dennis tradition of springing things on people, I'm going to call up our beloved treasurer, Becky Leonard, to open the ark with us. We're going to turn to page 82, and we're going to rise for the Aleinu. Page 82. Aleinu l'shavei aflaton ha'kol, la'teinu la'nu yoser b'reishit, shelo asanu k'mei ha'razot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'yama, shelo sam chelkeinu b'hem, ve'or aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu kolim u'nishtachvim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim ve'yosei haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imam, u'shkinatu zo Elohei meromi, u'Eloheinu einon, emet malkeinu efes u'ato, karatu betorato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim imach, ve'al ha'aretz itachat ein od. Please be seated. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shamo echad. Do you know how disturbing it is to have two people, one on either side of you, singing in the correct pitch? I don't know how often I can handle that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a few moments now to think about all the people who have made our lives what they are today, our ancestors, both far and near, those who have touched our lives, who've helped build us into the people we are. We recall with love and gratitude the names of all those people whom we have lost both recently, as well as those whose anniversaries of death occur this week. In that spirit, I therefore ask, is there anybody here who is mourning for someone who's died in the past week? Is there anybody in Shiva? Arlene. Thank you.
Dr. Matt Vince.
Thank you. For Shloshim, we have one person known to our community, Laura Levy, the mother of Deborah Greenberg. Is there anybody else in Shloshim? Thank you. For our yard signs, for our anniversaries of death this week, we think of these people connected to our community. Rhoda Goodgold, Isaac Gross, Dr. Robert Jacobs, Leah Levy, Christian Loss, Marcia Montgomery, Joan Rachelson, Warren Elliott Sparks, Dr. Samuel Webman, Neil Yutkin, and Dr. Abraham Zamachau. Is there anyone else mourning for someone whose yard site occurs this week? All right. For those who remember these people, we hope that their memory grows with sweetness with passing years. For the rest of us, we want to show our compassion, our support, and our caring by joining together on page 85. I ask all of us to please rise and join in reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, page 85. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Bagalal uizman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'elam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'rithu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran ve'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah mim shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace make peace for all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. And since I got it wrong last time, what is our closing song?
Esa Einai.
Esa Einai, which you will find on the top of page 99. It's number 15. Esa Einai, I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? In Texas, no place. We have no mountains. My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Esa Einai.
Esa Einai el Keharim Be'ain Yavo Esri. Esa Einai el Keharim Be'ain Yavo Esri. Esri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Esri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Esa Einai el Keharim Be'ain Yavo Esri. Esa Einai el Keharim Be'ain Yavo Esri.
And as we stand seemingly on the cusp of war, we ask that the helper of heaven and earth be a help to the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia, that they may find a way towards peace. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We invite you to join us for our oneg. I've got some brand new Hostess cupcakes, so we're all set.